Looksmaxxing is a big thing in 2026, and a lot of people are doing random things to make sure that they look the best possible, and somehow they still don't. So today we are going to look at times when Looksmaxxing went wrong, because I feel like it goes wrong like 90% of the time.
Looksmaxxing. We've all heard of it. It has genuinely taken over the internet the past 2 or 3 years, and on social media, it's everywhere. But if for some reason you've been living under a rock, or you just woke up from a coma and decided to watch my video, Looksmaxxing is essentially the process of maximizing one's physical attractiveness. Now, ironically, this is what the owner of the world's largest Looksmaxxing website looks like. Yeah.
Also, is there a Looksmaxxing website? What do you do on a website? Do you buy the hammers that you use on your face?
Make it make sense. I'm just as confused as you guys are, but there he is. He's an absolute chud. Over time, Looksmaxxing has been met with extreme controversy because, well, when you combine insecurity, taking advice from random people on the internet...
This is what Clav used to do, by the way. At what point do people not realize that he's just doing a bit? He hit himself with a globe on his face. Also, this brother lies about his age.
Random people on the internet and a willingness to do whatever it takes to change the way you look, well, things can go really, really wrong. And that's exactly what we're going to be getting into today. People who took Looksmaxxing to the absolute extreme and paid the price for it. Now, before we get into it, guys, I do want to clarify, there is nothing wrong with trying to look good. Going to the gym, a proper skincare routine, getting haircuts often. All of these are examples of self-care that can in turn make one look
Looksmaxxing is not the same thing, bro.
The problem is when Looksmaxxing goes from self-care to self-harm. And with the way it's promoted on TikTok and a lot of these online forums about Looksmaxxing, it's mostly about self-harm. Let's start by...
I'm not gonna lie, I feel like Looksmaxxing is just supposed to trying to improve themselves, but they're like crazy insecure. Brother, you're still not getting it, because at the end of the day, the funny guys are doing it. The guy that's the community owner, I can see why. He's probably funny.
Looksmaxxing, it's mostly about self-harm. Let's start by talking about this guy. As you can see, he made some mistakes.
That's not real
Apparently,
image.
he was some user in a Looksmaxxing Discord, and he went by the username Skolo. And he went viral on TikTok a while back when this video was posted about him that said, POV, you were an insecure teenager that wanted to expand his palate by 24 millimeters and ended up deformed. Basically, guys, he used something called a palate expander. It's a device used by orthodontists, and it's actually become very popular within the Looksmaxxing community.
What do you mean palate expander? That just sounds like you just want to eat Indian food. At what point do you just think, I want these things to be expelled? You know what? Maybe you have some things that you want to put in, bro. Looksmaxxing for all types of people. Forgot, my bad.
Because when it's used correctly, it can make smiles look more natural and overall enhance the facial structure. But in this case, that clearly did not happen. According to the TikTok post, Skolo ignored the advice he was given by his orthodontist. He then continued to use this expander past the recommended amount because he thought it would make him look better, and unfortunately, this was the result. It's honestly really sad what the Looksmaxxing communities did to this guy, because he clearly went blind to how drastically he was changing the shape of his face. Now, luckily, since all of this happened, there is an updated picture of him that
you can fix your
surfaced,
teeth.
and while he doesn't look nearly as bad as he did in the original picture after the initial palate expansion, his mouth still is unusually wide, and that seems like damage that can't really be fixed. Next up, we're going to be talking about Clavvicular.
I'm not gonna lie, Clavvicular is just using this to get views, bro. There's no way he actually does those things.
Now, you've probably heard of this guy once or twice, but if you haven't, this guy is essentially like the father of the Looksmaxxing community, at least right now. It seems like many people are crediting him to be the one who made Looksmaxxing as mainstream as it is, because back in the day in like 2010, 2011, it was this very niche like community online of, you know, less than 100 people probably. Now it seems like everyone knows about it. Anyways, this guy Clavvicular, who also goes by Clav, he is extreme. Like, the stuff he is doing to his body may very well kill him by 30 years old. I'm not even kidding. It's that bad. Let's get into it by starting with the fact that this guy has been injecting testosterone into his body since he was 14 years old. This is something that 50-year-olds do after their body slows down, and they're doing it supervised by a doctor. But no, Clavvicular ordered this off some internet black market, no doctor supervision, and started injecting it into his body at 14. Are you kidding? Apparently he had to hide it from his parents, and then they found out once and they kicked him out, and he had to live with his grandma where he just kept doing it. Then when...
Again, wait, this is so stupid. What do you mean your parents kicked you out? Instead of your parents just going like, you know what? I'm gonna take that shit off of you and you're 14 and you're grounded. Why'd people parenting, man. What the fuck?
He went to college. He was expelled 3 weeks in because they found illegal testosterone in his dorm room. But surprisingly, the testosterone is really just the tip of the iceberg with this guy. It gets a lot worse. Clavvicular has also openly talked about using a certain substance that I can't even talk about here on YouTube to suppress his appetite, give him energy, and also stay as lean as possible. The reason I can't mention it is because it's one of the worst, most dangerous drugs you can think of. For the sake of the video, we'll call it math, like mathematics. One of the most addictive and destructive drugs on the planet being used as a diet tool. Nice. And then there's the bone smashing. Let's talk about that. If you haven't heard of this, it's exactly what it sounds like. You take a hammer or your fist or a microphone, pretty much anything that's hard, and you repeatedly hit yourself in the face. I'm not going to do it because I don't want permanent...
If I walk into someone's room and they're just doing this shit to themselves, I would literally not call the police or my parents. I'd call a priest. Some demons in this brother's mind. What do you mean you're doing this? Sitting down in your bedroom? That's when you're gonna kick the person out, not the testosterone or anything.
Damage. The whole idea is that you're creating a bunch of microfractures on your face, and once you create those microfractures, your bones are gonna grow stronger and more full and bigger. You're gonna have a sharper jawline. All that fun stuff the Looksmaxxers talk about. But the thing is, there is no proof whatsoever that backs this up. But sadly, Clavvicular has been able to convince a bunch of young people that bone smashing will work. And if you scroll on the Looksmaxxing side of TikTok enough, you will see that bone smashing is very common. There's a lot of young kids and teenagers doing this. It's really sad. Dude, I even recently came across a video of some like 5-year-old doing some sort of like cheek suction technique for Looksmaxxing. He's 5 years old. It's so bad. What are we doing? This kid's supposed to be building trains, playing with Hot Wheels. Oh my God, bro. I can't believe
that's
this.
A parenting problem, bro.
I can't believe this. Now anyways, back to Clav. Everything this guy's doing right now is most likely gonna ruin him. There's already a bunch of memes about him like decomposing. On the outside, yeah, he looks fine right now, but the reality is that his body is absolutely going to pay the price for this very soon, probably. We're talking potential liver damage, increased risk of heart attack, stroke, and that's just from the testosterone, by the way. You throw meth use in the mix there, who knows what's gonna happen. So as you can see, guys, the
Clavvicular is the prime male that would.
This person on this list is this guy. His name is Frank Tufano, and he was obsessed with Looksmaxxing to the point where he was never satisfied. At first, he was just a regular, usual YouTuber who would post about carnivore diets and more unusual health tricks and tips and whatnot, if that makes sense. But unfortunately, he was also very insecure in the way he looked, despite the fact that the dude's a good-looking guy, no homo. It all started when he wanted to have a better jawline, so he decided to get something called a double jaw surgery. Now, this is a fairly difficult procedure. It's really expensive. It takes a very long time to recover, and he didn't ever look like he needed something like this. But anyways, he made it through the surgery fine for the most part, and his jaw looked better, but the problem is, he wasn't satisfied. He didn't like the way his eyes looked. He said they bulged out of his face too much, and so he got a certain eye surgery. It's called an orbital decompression. It's a very invasive surgery where the doctors go behind your eye and remove the bone. Unfortunately for him, this surgery ended up going terribly wrong. Not only did it ruin his vision to the point where he was seeing double, but it also gave him chronic headaches. Since then, he's made a bunch of TikTok and YouTube videos about his experience with the doctor that performed this surgery, and he even sued the doctor. A lot of people say that suing him was a terrible idea because the doctor has way more money than this guy, and this guy doesn't really have nearly as much money. It also seems like suing him caused almost all of his accounts to get banned on TikTok and Instagram. And since the eye surgery that went wrong, he's apparently gotten 12 reconstructive surgeries to try and reverse the damage that's been done. The latest one was a couple months ago, and it was all the way in Japan, so I can imagine this is probably so expensive. It really sucks too, because nobody would ever see this guy and think that something is wrong with his face or that he needs...
Again, I feel like this is the Kylie Jennerism of men. What happened to going to the gym and eating good food?
Any sort of surgery to begin with. And in his case, after years and hundreds of thousands of dollars in surgery costs, he actually looks and feels worse. Next up, we're going to talk about this guy. I mean, the picture really says it all. That's not edited, by the way. His name is Connor Murphy, and this one's honestly pretty sad too, because he used to be one of the most well-known fitness influencers.
Oh wait, is it him? I remember watching his videos. He was like really famous. I know the name, Connor Murphy. He used to do Planet Fitness videos. He was like the prime perfect guy.
on all of YouTube. People loved him. But all of a sudden, he like lost his mind and went down this horrible path, and that's what led him to where he is today. Basically, he was in his prime on YouTube, and then all of a sudden, you know, the numbers started slowing down a little bit, but nothing major. And then he got into this drug called ayahuasca. If you don't know what that is, it's some sort of extremely powerful psychedelic that makes you trip balls and see a bunch of crazy things and hear a bunch of crazy things, and it genuinely changes the way your brain works and your mindset works. And since he started trying that drug, he was posting these really bizarre videos.
See, this is the thing. I feel like the people are, this is like extremists. People really need therapy, is what this video is telling me. Like, people really need therapy.
Around 2020, where he was like claiming that he had reached spiritual enlightenment and that he was basically a god. You can't make this up. He was a fitness influencer. He was also talking about how he drinks his own yellow liquid. I'm not going to mention it. Yeah, he lost it. I mean, completely. He even tried faking his own death on YouTube. It was this whole thing that went on for a while, and all of his fans were like, what just happened? What's going on with Connor Murphy? But after a while, for a minute, it actually seemed like he was going back to his normal self and healing. He came back to posting his usual content. His physique even improved a little bit, and people were hopeful. But that did not last, unfortunately. Because if you go and look at his TikToks and YouTube videos now, it seems like he's adapted to this whole new world of Looksmaxxing, and it's caused him to totally lose it once again. I mean, it's unbelievable. He has this like alter ego now where he's calling himself Mandibulius Zygomitis.
Not gonna lie, that he's just using it for fame. He's not actually gone into that. It's like kind of like Clavvicular, but less extreme.
Every single day, his jaw seems to be growing in length or width, like an inch. It's scary. It's gotten to the point where his face is starting to look like a Minecraft block or like a Lego head, and it's so disturbing. Now, of course, he's making videos claiming that he's training his jaw by doing mastic gum training, some sort of Looksmaxxing technique where you chew on gum to grow your muscles in your jaw. But it's quite obvious that he's just pumping fillers into his cheeks or doing some sort of plastic surgery in order to achieve this look. I don't know why he wants to look like that, but to each their own. Now, I'm not sure if he's doing the psychedelics anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to them. But even if he isn't anymore, the combination of whatever permanent damage those did to his brain... See, look at that.
That's definitely like him purposefully doing it.
And the influence of the Looksmaxxing community has clearly taken a toll on this dude's health. Now, this last guy we're gonna be...
Oh, this was crazy. Oh, I already know what this is. This is like before the Looksmaxxing thing, though. This is like OG Looksmaxxing. That's literally oil in your biceps. If I saw that person on the street, the amount of wanking jokes I'm making on you, like, you cannot even imagine how bad it would be.
Because Looksmaxxing nearly caused him to lose both of his arms. But you are probably wondering what in the heavens this guy did to his arms in order to make them look like that. Well, his name is Kirill Tereshin. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I probably didn't. But he also went by Russian Papa. You can see why. But yeah, this guy essentially just wanted to have really big biceps, and I guess he didn't want to put the work in the gym. So instead, he decided to take the easy way out, and he injected a crap ton of synthol oil into his arms. His arms got bigger. But you guessed it, just like most of these Looksmaxxers, he wasn't satisfied. He had to keep going. He kept on going until he had injected a total of around 3 liters of synthol oil into his arms. That's like 8.5 of these into his arms. That can't be good. And it's not like these oil injections are making the guy look like he actually goes to the gym. It just makes him look like a freak. It's the most unnatural thing ever, but my favorite part is the fact that he would go to the gym and post pictures flexing his arms as if he was working them out and that people believed it. Nobody believed me, man. I'm sorry. Now, when it comes to a lot of these Looksmaxxers, I honestly feel really bad for them because body dysmorphia is no joke. I go to the gym quite often. I experience body dysmorphia, obviously not to this extent, but to a certain extent. You know, sometimes I'll forget that I'm making progress. But at the same time, this situation here is obviously so utterly stupid and ridiculous that it's hard not to laugh. Now, anyways, as you may have guessed, pumping 8.5 cans of oil into your arms is not the healthiest thing for you. And he realized that when all of this oil in his arms hardened, killing off real muscle tissue and cutting off blood flow. It got to the point where doctors told him he could literally die or lose both arms if he didn't get surgery. So he got surgery and he removed the stuff from his arms. He ended up actually needing multiple surgeries over the course of a few years just to get everything out. That's how deep he went. For what? He also openly admitted that he did no research before doing this himself. He was 20 years old. He wanted
I feel like he just did it because a lot of bodybuilders do that, but they do like a really small amount.
Arms, and he just kept injecting until his body started rotting from the inside out. That was the whole plan. And that's the whole thing with Looksmaxxing that is kind of scary because it's so huge huge on social media, it's targeting young people more than anything. Like that 6-year-old who was pushing his cheeks into TikTok because he thinks it's going to give him a sharper jawline. Dude, you're 6. Your face has barely started growing. Obviously, this is kind of funny, but when you really think about it, it's very sad what social media is doing to everyone, but especially young people whose brains haven't developed enough to understand how they could be harming their body. Listen, guys, at the end of the day, go take care of yourself. Go to the gym, get a nice haircut, go do that skincare routine. There is nothing wrong with any of that, but guys, be confident in who
But
you
even
are,
with
man.
that,
Because the second you let some...
I'd say like even with going to the gym and stuff like that, there is a limit. At the end of the day, as this guy said as well, it is body dysmorphia, bro. Like at the end of the day, like therapy is really important, bro.